Hey, Coach Tom Preston here, and I want to share with you today the art of delegation. And I want to break this conversation up into a few parts. The first is why. Why would you want to delegate anything to anybody, a project, a goal, or an idea? And then once we get through the why and get clarity on the why, then we're going to get into the hows. And in the last part of this video, we're actually going to go through and talk about the three most common stumbling blocks I've found in my many year consulting career. Okay, so let's talk about why. Why would you want to delegate? Well, let's be clear. Every human being that I've ever talked to when I lecture around the world has told me that in some way, shape, or form, they want to make a difference with their lives. They want the world to be a better place when they leave than when they got here. And I would contend from our perspective that everybody has a mission. Everybody has an authentic ability, something inside of them that's burning to be expressed. Whatever that is inside of you, it wants out. It wants to be expressed, and it wants to be expressed as fully as possible. So why do you want to delegate and have team members to delegate to? So that you can fulfill your mission, so that you can make a difference with your life and actually make a bigger difference with your life, okay? Now, what's happening as a byproduct of making a bigger difference is you're also going to create scale in your business. It's a way to create leverage and scale because there's only so many hours in the day for you to do, what it is that you do every day. And so to the degree that you can scale and create leverage by having other people do things with you and for you is to the degree that you can actually make a bigger difference in the world and fulfill your mission all that much more, okay? So, touching more lives? Good thing. Using other people to help you do that? Good thing, all right? So again, delegating is just absolutely pure wisdom, all right? You can also, by having other people involved in your organization, that you've got more minds there and stuff, and as bright and as driven and as charismatic as you are, having somebody to bounce ideas off of, play devil's advocate with you, and so on, that just makes the probability of success that much greater, okay? The other part, which is something that is not often talked about, is that by literally going back to the construct of authentic ability and knowing that everybody has an authentic ability that wants to express itself, by you allowing other people to work with you and for you, you're actually allowing them to take their most authentic seat on the bus and do what it is that they were, loved into existence to do, which is to fulfill their mission. It just mesmerizes me sometimes that there are people that were, loved into creation to be car salespeople, to be admin assistants, to be front desk people, to be bookkeepers, to be all the different roles that go on in life in order to make this funny little green and blue planet go around. So by you bringing those people on and creating employment opportunities for them, whether it's independent contracting or hourly or whatever it is you do, you're actually allowing those people to fulfill their mission, which is one of the most rewarding things that me, as a long-term boss, team leader, it's one of the most rewarding things that I actually do, okay? So, how do we go about doing this? How do we go about, now that we know why we should delegate, how do we actually do that? Well, step one is actually quite simple, but it's not actually always easy, and that is to recruit, listen to my words carefully, recruit the right people to the right seats on the bus, okay? Jim Collins talked about the way to create a great team is to make sure you got the right people on the bus and make sure they're on the right seats on the bus. So again, that's step one, and there's a big distinction here in language between hiring people and recruiting people. When you're recruiting people, you're mind setting the entire profile of who this person is. You got an avatar of what they look like, social and psychographics. You've got a pre-written contract. You've got an understanding of what we call an outcomes assessment, which we'll talk more about in a minute. In other words, you've completely profiled this person so that when they come across your radar screen, right, you will know them, you'll recognize them, and you'll enroll them into the role. Versus hiring, which is where you're like, crap, I got a hole in my company, I need to fill it. So, over the course of a couple of weeks or, maybe a little bit longer, you just find the best person that's available at the time. And again, it doesn't produce the same outcome, the same end result as it would as if you were recruiting and handpicking and bringing that person, to the team. Watch the difference, gang, when you were a kid, right? And if you played, baseball or hockey or any of those other sports, there's throwing all the sticks and gloves into the middle and just firing them out. You get random selection versus, somebody being the captain of the team and, recruiting and picking people to come on and play. You're going to end up with a better end result when you can recruit. So again, first step in delegation is to make sure you got the right people on the bus and they're in the right seats on the bus, okay? Second part, once you've got them there, and it's kind of tied to the recruiting process in our process at Full Circle, is you want to enroll them in the mission and the values of the company. You got to make sure you got values congruence. If you don't have values congruence, it's going to be an uphill battle for the rest of the time that they're with you, right? So you want to make sure that you enroll them in the mission and what it is that they're doing and what their seat is on the bus. Now, let's clearly define their seat on the bus. In Full Circle language, we call that an outcomes assessment. What outcomes do they need to achieve in order to be great at their role? Most entrepreneurs are tremendously guilty at not telling their people how to be great at their job. And I offer that there is an intrinsic drive inside of people to do a good job. But most entrepreneurs do a shitty job at telling them how to be good at their job. Again, we're not into job responsibilities here. That's like old school 1950s. We're talking about outcomes. What outcomes do they need to achieve in order to be great at the role? If you got the right person on the bus, this tells them what seat on the bus is theirs and what outcomes they need to achieve. Now, having a training manual or something to coach them and train them on how to create some of those outcomes. I mean, there's wisdom to that. But once they get their feet wet, then they can actually start to create their own sort of psychological imprint on the business. And again, I'm not attached to how they create the outcome. Again, we'll train them to how it has been done, but let's bring some of their own genius and intuition, innovation into the role so that they create the outcomes in whatever way it works. As long as it's not immoral or unethical or illegal, I don't care, as long as those outcomes get achieved. Also, I'll tell you a quick tip though, in management, makes it a hell of a lot easier to manage people when there's clear outcomes. They either are achieving them if they're not. If they're not, is it due to motivation or a lack of skills, which can be potentially solved through more training, all right? So again, right person on the bus recruited, doing their outcomes assessment after you've enrolled them in the mission and values so that they're 100% engaged and they realize how their contribution is fulfilling the mission, which they're 100% behind. All right, now, whatever the task is that you're delegating to them, you want to be sure that you're crystal clear in 3 areas. You want to be crystal clear in your communication to them so that they're really clear what it is that you've said to them. I actually often will ask my team to mirror back to me what I just said so that they can get crystal clear on what it is. The most common cause of inefficiencies in business, in my experience, is people just not taking the time to make crystal clear communication about what it is exactly you want to get done. All right? Now, tied to that is you want to be sure that you're getting a very clear deadline set. All right? Now, they likely, with their outcomes assessments, have other priorities they're working on. So I'm not a dictatorial leader, nor do I advocate for that, to where you're saying, okay, Bob, this is what you need to do. Are you clear? Yep, good. I want it done by tomorrow at 8 a.m. Now, occasionally, there may be times you're executive privilege where you're actually pushing the envelope a bit and you might need something done that quickly. But on average, I would say, okay, so are you clear about what it is that I want you to do? Yes. Okay, great. Now, ideally, I'd like to see that done in the next couple days. What is your, where can you fit that in? I can do it Wednesday. Okay, great. So Wednesday noon? No, I don't have time until the afternoon. Great. Wednesday, 4 p.m. Yes? Good. So now you got clarity about what it is you want them to do, and you got clarity about the deadline. And then the last thing, the third clarity, is you get clarity of agreement. Bob, are you committing to getting that done by Wednesday at 4 o'clock? Yes. All right, now you have clear communication, you got a deadline, you got commitment. Now you're dealing with personal integrity and all kinds of other issues about whether they get it done or not. So the last part of how is where you actually hold them accountable for getting things done. If they commit to Wednesday, 4 p.m., they better move heaven and earth to do that. If not, you're going to love them enough. Okay, let me say that again. As a leader, you're going to love them enough to hold them accountable for their own greatness. All right, so this is going to get into the third part of this video where we're going to actually talk about the most common screw-ups, the most common blocks to actually, getting the delegation done and actually growing your mission, your fulfillment, and your profitability. Because don't forget, gang, that's another part of this. You delegate, you scale, you not only have more fulfillment, you're making a bigger difference in your life, there's also more profit there available for you and your family to do the things that you would love to do and the way to do that. All right, so let me tell you that one of the most common things that I see in terms of the mindset screw-ups that decrease the probability of you doing effective delegation, and let's just do it in no uncertain order here. The first one is that inability for leaders to ask for help. Where the hell did this come from? that we actually feel ineffective, we feel weak, we feel small, we feel like we're bothering people. I mean, this thing has lots of faces, gang. Let me be clear. I've coached people through a lot of faces of this. But the moral of the story is basically the same thing. You're not getting help. You're not able to ask for help because of your own insecurities, because of your own whatever demons that are that haunt you from your childhood or a bad experience you had or whatever, right? So if you're in a place where you're feeling like there's that self-esteem hit that you're taking when you ask for help because you feel small or weak or whatever, I would highly, highly advise that you get some coaching around that, because that is, to my experience, is completely a solvable problem. But you just got to recognize, A, that there is a problem, and B, the price you're paying for that. Again, we're not into moral discussions. It's not like a moral, ethical thing, right or wrong, but there's a consequence, which is lack of fulfillment and lack of profitability and lack of making a bigger difference with your life. Okay? So tied to that, asking for help is actually, some people can actually ask for help, but then they have a hard time letting others do it. I had a recent experience with a dear friend and past client of mine recently, where we spent some time together socially. And she was telling me that literally since she was a little girl, that she really didn't, not only not ask for help, but she just had a hard time letting others do things with her, for her. It actually, again, kind of tied to asking for help. But again, people will ask for help, but then actually not let people do it, or they'll feel shitty while they're getting the help, which then decreases the probability from a behavior mod standpoint that they'll ever ask for help again, because they feel terrible about themselves. Again, this is usually, I've found, some sort of a deep set insecurity, some sort of a challenge with the accepting your role and your seat on the bus, trying to be a jack of all trades, so to speak. I mean, I can remember a day when I was like that, where I can remember literally saying, I might as well as good as me anyways. It's like, how absolutely arrogant is that, and how absolutely foolish is that to not allow other people to help you do that, right? The third part is holding people accountable. Oh my God, I've had a lot of clients struggle with this over the years, where they feel awkward about holding people accountable. They don't want confrontation. They don't want that person to not like them. And you know what? I can tell you that from a experience, 25 plus years as a consultant, the most common reframe I've been able to successfully do for people is to say to them, if they're parents, and most people have interacted with parents, or they have nieces, nephews, or whatever, as I say, do you feel like there is a value to parenting your children, both from what is commonly referred to as a soft love as well as a tough love standpoint? Every parent I've ever talked to currently says yes. Say, okay, so is tough love, is that like course correcting, giving guidance, helping them grow? Even though they may not like it, it's really necessary for them to grow into the human being they can and exert their fullest potential. And some variation of words like that, everybody I've ever talked to so far goes, yep, that's true. So I say, so basically what I want you to do is to use that mindset and say, you may not like it, but you know it's really good for your children to course correct them and to give them guidance and to, tough love them, if you will, right? Give them some constructive criticism. Use that same mindset. Build a bridge from that experience to doing that with your teammates. Because actually everybody responds differently about this based upon their different demographics and their love languages and their personality profiles and all of that stuff. But on average, my experience is people value the course correction. Sometimes not right away, okay? But long term, everybody I've ever had the opportunity to be a team leader for, they have always valued the course correct at some point in the future if they didn't value it right away, and many valued it right away, right? My coaching director right now is someone who values that kind of feedback, responds really well to it. He wants to know if he has moved in the wrong direction or not followed through on something, because his intention is to be a great team member. And if he's falling short, he wants to be told immediately so that he can course correct, get back on track, and we can fulfill the mission. Which is why it's so important that you enroll them in the mission values early on. So gang, that is the art of delegation. You got to start with your why, you got to learn your hows, and the three most common mindset trouble spots, which are all in our full circle model, all tied to focus blocks that are, if you allow me, self-development type things that could be coached through. So if that's something that you could use some help with, certainly reach out to your coach if you're already a client, and if you're not, reach out. I'd love to have a conversation about how we might be able to help you be a better leader and a better delegator. Now, if you're someone that is watching this on YouTube and you'd like to get more of this quality of video and more of the teaching that goes with this to help your business be the best expression of itself it can, help you be the most authentic person you can be and fulfill your potential both personally and professionally, all you got to do is click the subscribe button down below. We'd love to have you getting these videos first and foremost right to your inbox as they get delivered so that you can stay up to date and continue to be the best version of self you can be. All right, enjoy yourself. Have a great day, everybody. Coach Tom signing off. Our mission at Full Circle Coaching and Consulting is to awaken individuals to the power of authentic expression and help them realize their full potential, both personally and professionally. Without a cookie-cutter approach, we help you design and manifest your most authentic dream life, resulting in you earning more money and you having more time with your loved ones. You don't need to learn anything new in order to have the business and life you desire. You need to unlearn and shed all the unsupportive beliefs and behaviors that are subconsciously sabotaging your success. We help you connect with that factory-installed inner guidance and then reverse engineer the steps it takes to go from where you are to where your heart is calling you to be. This is our specialty. Let us help. When you're ready, connect with us through the links in the description below or go to our website at fullcirclecoachingandconsulting.com.